Hey, Nick, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us and for being willing to share your story with us. I wanted to start with something that you had written in this little Q&A we did about how you felt like weight and or weight issues for you had been an issue since you got out of high school, you started college, and that it kind of has been part of your adult life essentially. Why do you think that is or was? Why do you think you were even in that place to begin with?
That's a good question. I guess I'm not 100% certain how to answer that other than, all growing up, I was always a bigger kid. Um, but once I got, and I graduated high school at 260 pounds. And once I got out of high school into college on my own, that's, I guess, in my first year of college, I don't know how much exactly, but I put on a significant amount of weight. And ever since then, it had been a serious struggle at that point. I guess I'd been up, I'd been down. I'd gain, I'd lose, and that kind of happened for a course of several years, and then the last number of years has been a little bit on the rise. And before I started, that's the heaviest I'd ever been.
Was graduating high school?
No, was just right prior to starting Profile by
Okay.
Sanford
Okay.
in July of 2020. That's the heaviest I'd ever been.
Okay. Okay. And you had said also you have had asthma and high blood pressure. Has that just also been a part of your adult life?
I've always had asthma, but the high blood pressure, obviously, that came once I was gotten to. I think I've been taking high blood pressure medicine for at least probably 8 years, at least probably somewhere in there.
Okay. And so at some point you got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Can you describe
Yeah,
getting to that point and knowing that, okay, that's it for you?
you know, yeah, yeah. There aren't too many days that go by when you're that size where you're not sick and tired. But it did get to the point along with that, and then also COVID. That did actually play a role in me kicking myself in the butt and wanting to try something. I was the weight I was, which was the heaviest I've ever been. I had asthma, high blood pressure, and I wanted to do something because I was afraid of that. That was something that was always in the back of my mind when that started.
Why was it why did COVID play a role in sort of pushing you that way?
Because people that check those boxes, I'd heard that they're not doing so well when they get COVID, if they were to get COVID. So
Okay. So you had your health in mind, knowing this virus was out there and that it affected overweight people a little bit differently. Okay.
yeah,
So that plays a role. I thought it was really interesting that one of the profile endorsers, Michael Russo, who writes for The Athletic, played a big role in you taking the leap into finally joining Profile and making a commitment. Explain how Michael Russo sort of gave you that final push.
to me, the biggest role, and I've reached out to Michael. I sent him an email. And actually, I did get to meet him last Thursday. The ladies that Profile brought him in, and he surprised me there. And so I got to meet him and speak with him for about an hour. But it was Michael who took that big step for me, and in that once I decided that Profile was something that I wanted to try. And I'd heard about it through KFED. I'd heard, I think AJ had lost some weight. I know Nordo, and then someone had lost 50 pounds in 2 months. And at that point, I was like, God, if I could just lose 50 pounds in 2 months, that'd be spectacular. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this. And then, of course, I listened to Michael's stuff, and then I heard the success he was having at that point. And I'd sent him a DM, and after, I guess I was procrastinating, and I just wasn't following through with what I wanted to do. I just didn't know what to do. So I sent him a Twitter DM, and kind of asked him some things about it. And he immediately sent me back with, here, contact Danette or Courtney. They're expecting your call. Here's the number. And at that point, for whatever reason, I just felt comfortable knowing, hey, someone knows I'm going to be calling. I don't have to
Yeah.
maybe call and explain what I'm just explain myself. And I just felt as though, hey, this will be easy. I can call them. They kind of know I'm going to call. They're expecting my call, and that was huge for me because I had been telling myself I was going to do it for probably almost 3 weeks, and I hadn't until Michael did that for me.
There's a little more responsibility and accountability when somebody says, "Hey, I told them you're calling. Here's the
Yeah,
number, so you have to now follow through." And it probably is a reflection on Michael Russo too if you don't do it. So good for him for giving you that push, but doing it in the right way of sort of like, here it is. The last step is yours,
yeah,
but I could not make it any easier for you. And so good on you for making the call, Nick, because you could have continued to not call. They
yeah.
didn't have your number. They weren't calling
Right.
you.
No, they
You
weren't.
still had to make the call.
Yeah,
So
I mean that really was huge, and I thank Michael, and we shared a nice moment, and it was very integral to my success, I feel.
that's really cool. So when you then start, do you start with enthusiasm and here we go, or are you still dreading like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this? What's your attitude at the very beginning?
Like I said, I'd heard other people on KFED, I heard Michael. If I could just lose 50 pounds, 2 months, I was like, okay, I can.
Okay,
I'm gonna give it my I'm gonna
that's
give it my
not a
college try.
small deal though, Nick. You keep saying that like it's, oh, if I could just lose 50 pounds in 2 months. That's like if I could just snap my fingers. That is a
Well,
major accomplishment.
I get it, and I mean, and the things that they did, whether it was Nordo or Agi or whoever it was, you're right that that's not. And but I thought if I could do that, I'd be happy. But once I started, when I decided, I mean, it was an investment on my part to start that, and because it does cost money, and I wasn't, I was of the mindset where I'm going to make this work. So I was very dedicated to the plan, and I remember I hit my 50-pound mark. It was just, I think it was probably just over 6 weeks. I lost 50 pounds.
Wow.
Um, and at that point, so we'd set my first goal. My first goal is to get to 300 pounds. Um, I can't remember how long it took me, but we hit that, and we set another goal at 250. And then Deb would ask, well, where do you want to get to? Where do you want to get to? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. And eventually we figured it out. And that number ended up being 160 pounds is what I lost and what we were shooting for. And that's what I did. But to get back to your question, I guess I followed the program very, very closely. I was very disciplined for whatever reason after 40 years of doing what I did. I mean, I followed it about to the T. And then also I exercised a lot. Um, Deb and I set a goal of 700 minutes a week. So I was trying to get 100 minutes a day is what my goal was.
Of
And there
exercise.
of exercise. So but it ended up, I mean, she gave me heck a couple of times because I got up to 1,200 minutes. But I was always between probably 900 and 1,100 minutes of just walking. I didn't do no high impacts. I was just walking.
Okay. Just moving your body.
Yep.
So because you were disciplined, it you saw results pretty quickly, and I have to imagine that is just a continuous cycle of you're seeing the reward, it makes you want to keep doing it, you keep seeing the results, there's your motivation.
Yes.
So once that cycle kind of starts spinning, then you're kind of in it, right? Then it's like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I told Michael this, and I told Deb this, and I just can't remember at what point it was, whether it was before I hit my 250-pound goal. It was probably somewhere between 300 and 250. I told Deb it was, if I keep this up, there's no way I'm not going to reach it. I mean, I'm going to do it. It's just eventually I will do it.
Well, you did it.
I did.
160 pounds lost, 19 and a quarter inches around your shoulders and chest. I did not know you before this interview, Nick, so I did not know physically what you looked like. For people who have known you and knew you before the weight loss, now after the weight loss, what kind of reactions do you get from people?
I've got a lot of interesting reactions. Um, from they, I mean, I've had somewhere. I mean, obviously I lost it during COVID, so I mean, I wasn't going out and about, but but yeah, it was there's a lot of disbelief. Like, holy smokes! I mean, are you okay? I got some of those. They want to make sure I was
Sure.
still healthy.
Yep.
No, yeah. I mean, I did this. I didn't have a procedure. This is just what I did. Lots of interesting reactions, and they were in large part very good and positive reactions to the success I had.
What's your wardrobe like now? How has that changed?
Well, instead of about a 6 shirt rotation, my wife would tell me I have way too many clothes now.
Isn't that fun?
It is. I'm not gonna, and I'm not ashamed. I like to wear nice things. I have a bunch of clothes.
Well, now that you have more options, then
Yeah.
good for you. That's a wonderful thing to be able to exercise. You speaking of your wife, she lost 70 pounds.
Mhm.
So you're not just going through this alone and trying to figure out what to eat and how to eat it and meal prep and all that. I found it as well to be very helpful when your spouse is doing the program with you, because then it's a collaborative effort of you're going to the grocery store, I'll pre-pack some salads or whatever it is. How helpful was that for you to have her doing this with you and sharing in it?
Oh yeah, I mean it's super helpful, and it was a great support system to have. I mean, to just to be able to have her supporting what I was doing, and then also she was getting some benefit out of it. And I mean, she didn't do as much exercising as I did, and she actually, I'm going to say, lost it almost easier than I did at times. But it was a huge help for Jessica to be there and going through that the same time I was, and obviously experiencing the success. So she was. It made it a good experience for her as well, for both of us.
And you have 3 kids, 14, 11, and 4.
Yeah.
And so those are still the ages of active dad time and throw the ball around the yard and, walk down to the softball fields or soccer fields or whatever. How has your life changed in just being able to participate in your kids' lives?
Yeah, I mean a lot. I mean I coached my oldest in basketball, um, and my youngest, and being able to play. We were short a couple of girls, so being able to play 5-on-5 with them, get up the court. I mean, it was a blast. I mean, it was an absolute joy to be able to do that.
Awesome. So if you had to make a recommendation to someone. So the same way that you sent a direct message to Michael Russo, if somebody is listening to this podcast and finds Nick MacArthur and sends him a DM and says, I'm thinking about profile, I'm thinking about doing this, what is your Michael Russo type response to someone who's reaching out to you right now?
I mean, it would be the same deal. I mean, like I said, I'm not. I don't have my membership is not active with profile, but I know I could reach out to Deb, and she would help, and I would do what I could to help, because I mean, you, you never know what someone else is feeling and why they're reaching out, or whatever the reason is. So I would definitely help. And I know there's been some people that joined Profile by Sanford because of the success they seen that I had, and there was a time where I was maybe a little bit embarrassed about it. But if I could help someone who's in a similar boat, or just struggling with it, I'm more than happy to do that now, and I want to do that. So
That's great, because people like you are such wonderful ambassadors because you've been there. You've been in the place that a lot of people are. You're in the place that a lot of people are trying to get to. So your willingness to share that is really, really big for people who are just kind of looking for someone, some guidance, some push, any of that. So you doing this podcast too is a part of that. So we thank you, Nick, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
160 pounds lost. That's really incredible. You should be really, really proud of yourself. Well done.
Thank you.
Nick MacArthur. All my best to you. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Marney.
And thanks to all of you who joined us for this episode of Profiles in Health and Wellness. See you next time.